Yes, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It's Connor here, and we are back with another One Leeds video. We're back with the debrief. Hope you're all doing really well. This episode will be available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, wherever your favorite audio podcast provider is. So make sure you check that out if you can't listen to it fully. Tonight, we've got a lot to talk about. It feels like another ridiculous must-win week for Leeds United overall. It's a huge week for the club. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We've got the two esteemed men in the back. Chris is in the building with Kerry, is in the building with Marsch and on together. Evening, Connor. How you, Justin? Hello, Louise. Hope you're okay, mate. Butchered your name there. Evening, boys. Looking forward to the debrief. Evening from Gloucester. Evening from Wales, says Ian. Hello, Ian. Without any further ado, David Brown. KG, how are you doing, lads? Everything all right? KG, you okay?
Yeah, all good. All good.
Good. David Brown?
You're on mute.
He's done the Connor. He's done the Connor. We've got the first one of the evening. Is you on mute? KG, am I on mute?
No, I can hear you.
You can hear me, you can't hear Brownie.
Yeah.
Right. Brownie, I think you're on mute, mate, somehow. Oh, God. Well,
excellent start. Hello to everyone in the chat.
Hello, everyone. But yeah, Brownie, I don't know what's going on. Can you take your mic out? Do you want to go out and come back in, mate? Okay. We'll let him go out and come back in. Right, okay. KG. God,
hello,
mate,
sir.
It's been a nuts couple of days, mate. Obviously, we won't get into too much without Brownie, obviously. But your general thoughts, mate, on the game. I mean, we're gonna get into the specifics. But I watched your stream afterwards, and you seem quite positive, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just tells you how bar the low is, that we look like we set up like a real football team, and we think that that's a real positive. But it was, because I think there's only so many times you can take hammering after hammering as a fan, never mind as a player. So it was good to see them stay compact, especially in that first half. I thought the first half was really good, actually. If we just had that finisher on the pitch just to finish it off, some of the moves that we was creating, even Jack Harrison was getting in there with some balls across the box that no one was getting on the end of. But Schmeichel was a big factor in why we didn't score, and it can't be taken away. Kasper Schmeichel had a brilliant game. If it was the different goalkeeper, maybe we're talking something differently. But our season's all been maybes, ifs, hits, and all that. But yeah, I was really encouraged with what we saw, and given the group of players that he used, he pretty much. I mean, I didn't even cover it, but Dallas at right back and other players out of position as we've seen previously. But he just utilized them in a different manner, which was really good to see.
100%. Right, I'm hoping that this is going to work. If I just go, Brownie, what about your thoughts, mate? Oh, no, I don't know what it is. Oh, God. Can't hear you, mate. We can't hear you. Mate, what? Just fully leave the stream and I'll give you the code again. Guys, a debrief.
Guys in the chat.
If
you knew how this was driving Connor crazy inside, he's actually boiling inside.
Oh God, the organisation, it is poor. But yeah, mate, I think it's like you were just saying there. Really, it was a frustration. I mean, I looked at the lineup initially, and I know there was a lot of frustrations. To be honest, I mean, I was reading online, I was seeing the reaction, and people were spitting feathers. To be quite honest with you, and it did seem. We saw it straight off the bat. Ailing centre back, you had Robin Koch in central defensive midfield, Dallas at right back, as you've already alluded to. Yeah. And Dan James up top, and you're thinking, flipping heck, and it's quite interesting, isn't it, KG? Because he said earlier on this week that he doesn't want to sort of move around too many parts, and I like that. So, do you think that's probably the reason he did that? Did a little bit of familiarity with what had happened before, maybe?
I think so, but I think hopefully seeing it in game time will make him see that some of these players shouldn't be playing where they're playing. I mean, if we're being realistic, some of them shouldn't be playing at all, but we have what we have. And hopefully he's seen it in match time from the sidelines that he'll make a few changes, because I don't believe if we set up that way against Aston Villa, especially the way that they played in the last game, I think it might be a long night for us against Villa. So hopefully he'll make the adjustments, but that was to be expected. You know, I optimistically gone for a 2-1 win. I hope for the new manager bounce, but you've got to remember what we're working with here, and it's very limited tools. So he may have seen that now, and we'll hopefully see some adjustments on Thursday.
100%. James in the building. Yes, lads, finally here live. Brownie being as effective as VAR. He's back in the building. Everybody, come on. Cage, you've got your fingers crossed. We've got our fingers crossed. Everybody in the chat, fingers crossed. What are you predicting?
I don't think it's going to work.
I'm going to be positive, and I for once, I'm going to be positive. New manager bounce.
Go on then. Yeah, I was right. What is happening?
I thought that was him then. I thought he was mute, unmute. Speak again, Brown. This is a shambles, isn't it? I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Amateur hour. We've let ourselves down here.
Try another device, mate. I don't know if you can get another device. Oh God, there he's gone. Oh God. Anyway, mate, more on the specifics that we were just talking about there. Luke Ayling should not be centre back. It's an interesting point. What did you make of Luke Ayling, Cagey? Because throughout the game, I was seeing a lot online. I wasn't a massive fan of him throughout the game, but I watched it back. I've watched it back a couple of times now, and there's some really. I thought he was quite creative in terms of bringing the ball out from the back. We normally see that from Llorente, don't we, when he brings it out from the back, but it's a bit risky. It has been risky at the back with Luke Ayling as well. But overall, what did you make of his performance?
I thought that was one of his better performances. I mean, I don't know what that says. I don't know what that says for him overall, but I actually thought that it wasn't the worst performance he's had this season. I thought it was passable. It is that thing though. Why is he at centre back again when we've got Creswell around, and then just put Ayling at right back? I mean, when you saw the tough time that Stuart Dallas had out there, I don't know if Ayling would have fared any better, but Stuart Dallas, it was hard to watch, wasn't it? If you know, everyone in the chat, it was very difficult to watch Stuart Dallas against Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes had all the joy pretty much as long as he was on the pitch, and you just wonder if just putting players where they usually, you know, their primary position will help out a bit, because we need something. Because as much as, and I alluded to it on my post-match chat, as much as the positives are good, we are down to 11 games now. So we're running out of rope here. We're running out of road, and we need some points on the board. I mean, I looked at it last night and I didn't even realize 5 losses on a row. We need points on the board ASAP, and it's got to be this week.
Yeah, I think I agree, man. I was looking at it last night, and I thought I was doing the exact same thing. I was just looking at, and you're doing it now, aren't you? Obviously, being a Leeds fan, you're looking at every other team's fixtures, Everton's game in hand, you know, and all this games, I should say, plural, in hand, Burnley's games in hand, and you are sort of equating how the table's going to finish. And I've been doing that for months, to be honest, but it almost feels really poignant right now. It's real right now, and I think this is the first time. I don't know about you, mate, but I'm going to say something at the end of this podcast. Where I'm actually thinking, if we haven't won a game by the end of this week, is that actually done now? Is that the lid on it? And I know that sounds ridiculous because we've still got 9 games to go, 27 points to play for.
Yeah, I hear you, but it's from it's a confidence and momentum thing, isn't it? We're thinking like that as fans. Imagine what the players are thinking especially after the Newcastle Everton games. They must be thinking, well, this is our week now. Villa at home, yes, that's going to be tricky, but you've got to try and pick up 3 points in these games. And then Norwich, I mean, if they don't beat Norwich, I mean, even I might think that this might be a lost cause, because then you are really looking at where are the points coming from. And yes, it's not impossible to beat some of the bigger teams. It really isn't. But just look at the way we played overall this season. You've got to go by what you've seen. I don't think that these players have got it in them. I just don't. So we really have to look at it this week and say, let's get 6 points. I want to see 6 points. I know people have said 4, but to make me feel really comfortable, I'd say 2, because like you, I'd finish my my match reaction by 3 o'clock, and I was just looking at the fixtures and going, oh wow, who would I prefer to win, Brentford or Norwich? And we shouldn't be looking like that, but that's where we are. That is our reality now, people. So, yeah, we just have to see what happens against Villa. That's the first one. But, yeah, I can hear Brownie, so he'll be ready. Let's go.
Let's go, Brownie. We can hear you, mate. Boom.
I've changed everything, so if it doesn't work now, I'm off out to play with the traffic.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, mate. We can hear you. All good?
I've changed laptops, so I don't know what it was, but yeah, I'm here.
There we go. That's the main thing, mate. That's the main thing. Everybody's happy you're in the building. So, yeah, mate, we'll get into it, obviously, because we've, me and Cage have just been having a little bit of a chat about it. But feels real at the minute, doesn't it, Brownie? It feels like, obviously we had the game. We're just discussing a little bit of the lineup there, but brilliant performance in my book. What was your general take on it, mate? Were you sort of impressed with what you saw? Obviously, the end result not good enough, but it is seems to be a constant thing at the minute, doesn't it?
I was impressed for the first hour.
Yeah,
I was impressed for the first hour. We were just massively on top for the first hour, and we were a bit more tailored in our attacks. We picked our moments to go. We weren't as gung ho. And we should have at least had one, if not two goals, which you can't really pinpoint on Marsch. That's not his fault. He set his team up well, and the way we set up allowed us to create them chances. And this is what I was saying last week. At some point, the players have to take accountability, both in the box at one end and in the box at the other end. I was saying it last week about some of the goals. You couldn't just pinpoint to Bielsa. The players have to stand up at some point, and I think that was the same again this week. At some point, the players have to put the ball in the back of the net. That's their job. And then if you take one or two of the chances, the game's completely different. But I just felt that first hour was really organised and everything seemed to be going to plan. And I just think the substitution, it just seemed to burst our momentum. The substitution on the hour mark, it just seemed to, from that moment on, we just weren't as fluid. We weren't creating as many as attacks, and we just kind of lost our way from that point for me.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you're right, Brownie, and he'll have learned an awful lot from that. Me and Cage were just speaking whilst you were just sorting your laptop out, and we were saying that he won't have changed that much. I think there were definitely patterns of change. Like in the first half, I don't know if you both noticed, but there was definitely like 3 or 4 players pressing, maybe 1 or 2 players, and it was definitely on sequence. They'd get back into shape. They wouldn't go gung-ho running after the ball, and then they'd wait and trigger Q press again, whatever, whatever sequence you want. But it almost seemed like that was a little bit of it, but it didn't. There wasn't a continuation of it throughout the 90 minutes. I did feel like maybe the players, they weren't fully there yet, and that's completely understandable. But I did still see some traits. The overlap was interesting as well, because the overlap sort of came back. You saw Firpo with the chance with Rafinha, and we've not seen that under Bielsa. And you can't imagine that's a Marsch instruction, because everything's supposed to be so compact. So the players maybe took it upon themselves a little bit as well to mix and match what they were putting on the pitch.
There was a definite ploy. I mean, when we were setting up from defensively from goal kicks, there was a back 4, then there was 2 in the middle, and then it was a 4 in front of them in a straight line. And Marsch was orchestrating them. He wanted them. It was almost as if there were set yards between each line. It was like, right, if you break that line, you've got to break the next line, then you've got to break the next line, type of thing. And it was very rigid. And I just felt that last half an hour, like you say, Connor, just went away from that. It went back to being a basketball match a little bit. That last 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, it did.
But yeah, as I say, very positive first hour. And we came away from the game wondering how we hadn't won, let alone lost. It had that feel to it. But I just felt that, a lot of things just didn't sit right with me in that last half an hour, which I'm sure we'll get into. But like you say, it'd be a learning curve. It is week 1, so.
Yeah, no, you're right, mate. I think it's a good point as well. Talking about the learning curve and where it'll be beneficial for him and not changing too much. KG, did that sort of go against him a little bit though? Do you think Robin Koch in central midfield was a big lightning rod for all Leeds fans at the start? Do you think he maybe should have turned it into Marsch ball straight away, or do you think even with personnel he made the right choices?
Yeah, I don't. I think it was just what he could do in a space of 4 days. If we're being fair to him, I don't think he could have really done much else. Which is why I think we saw players playing in similar positions that they played before. But you could see that he did adjust the formation because, as we all saw, there was a 4-2-4 at some point, and we have. I don't think we've seen that. And there was also two banks, which we don't really see under. We never seen under Bielsa either. It wasn't like there was loads of chess pieces all over the board. People seem to be a lot more organised in this game. And I think it showed from Meslier onwards as well. I think Meslier looked a lot more comfortable in this game. Still, a little bit of scary distribution here and there. But I just thought overall, when he was coming for crosses and things like that, I thought he did a lot better than in recent games. It's going to take time, though, people. It's going to take time because this team is still low on confidence. Yes, there's a new manager, but they're also low on quality too. So the lack of finishing is a bit why where we are as well, because we just can't take our chances. And hopefully, if Bamford's back, if he's going to be back for the Villa game, that will give us that edge that we need going forward. Because when you think of Rafinha with Bamford, and if Rodrigo plays like he did in that first 60, because people know my thoughts on Rodrigo, but never mind his tracking back going forward. He was really good. He was making things tick. Whereas people are passing back to the side, Rodrigo always looks to play forward, which is something we need. And I thought Dan James was really good too. So yeah, there's things to build on, but we need to turn those things to build on into points ASAP.
Yeah, because we seem to have said that a lot this season. If only Bamford was in there to tap it in, we just seem to keep saying it. And the Newcastle game was a big one for me, which I remember saying it myself. If Bamford was in there, but we hadn't had a Bamford since game week 5, which is an issue at the old regime. How can you only have one number 9, whether it's the board, Bielsa? You can't just have one number 9, and that's what I've said all the way through. As a striker myself, you want a bit of competition yourself. You don't want to get complacent. We're a bit like Meslier. He seems to have gone into easy street a little bit. But yeah, the subs was the start of the downfall of the last half. I thought Rodrigo, Harrison were probably two of our best players on the day, and they both got hooked. I couldn't get my head around it. I really couldn't. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you why them two got brought off. But then there was the whole Roberts debacle. I'm not even blaming Roberts for that. If he doesn't get told to come off, he can't come off. He has to stay on the field. He's not just going to walk off the pitch. So unless he's told to come off as a player, you stay on the field. You're not just going to come off. And that's where... This is where I'm leading into the next bit. There was a lot of talk last week, and we loved everything he was saying. We loved it. It was everything we wanted to hear. It was brilliant. Everybody warmed to him. He's got to be very careful of what he said, because once you say something, you got to stand by it a little bit. Otherwise, the talks are going to get seen through very quickly for me. We had the phrase of, we've seen a cycle of injuries, players playing through injuries, going to look after them, we're not going to overload them. And in game week 1, we had a player on the bench that wasn't fit, and we had someone running. Well, he couldn't run, he couldn't move, and he was on the pitch for 10 minutes. So that's why I think the last 20, 25 minutes, I think you're right, Con, it will be a learning curve, because I don't want to say something I might regret, but I'm already wondering what's true and what isn't. If he's coming out with statements and they're not backing it up in game week 1, I'm a bit like, well, you've said you're going to look after players, but you've got someone hobbling around on the pitch for 10 minutes. You say you're not going to overload players, but you got Bamford on the pitch. He clearly couldn't play Bamford. If he'd have been able to play, Bamford would have come on at 1-0 down. No doubt about it. And then he's coming out saying he could only play 10 minutes. Roberts came on in the 77th minute. You can't get any closer to 10 minutes. So it was a good start for Marsch, very positive. There was one or two things that were niggling away with me coming away. It could have been a whole lot better, but like I say, the players put the chances away, and you're coming away thinking, what a start, 2-0 away at Leicester. Because it should have been. We should have won the game, and that was down to how Marsch set us up, which is the positive thing of coming out of that game for me.
Well, the one thing I say on the Roberts injury, and when you think about it, I would have taken him off just so he wasn't a distraction on the pitch, because I think I said it in the group chat, didn't I? The amount of times the ball was going near him as he was getting more and more hurt. it was actually becoming more of a distraction. Then when he did try and bring it out, he just passed it to a Leicester player. Not his fault. He just couldn't swing his leg at it. And it's one of those things where even if we've got an attacking corner, he probably couldn't have swung his leg at the ball anyway. So you might as well bring him off and then set up with 10. It just makes it a lot more easier, I would have felt. But that's all hindsight now, isn't it? So
it might surprise a lot of people, but I felt for Roberts in that situation. I felt for him. He couldn't do anything, and it was going to be a massive. People were going to hammer him for not being able to do this, not being able to pass it. But he was injured.
Yeah,
he's injured. So it's one of them hindsight. Do you keep him on? Do you take him off? If you're saying you're going to protect players, you take him off. That's my opinion.
Yeah, interesting stuff. We'll just get through some people's comments on that particular topic. Tom Bennett says, give him a break, Brownie. Mind the Sky says, you'd rather be us down a man.
Yeah. He means if Roberts comes off.
Yeah, well, we were effectively playing with... What did Roberts do in that last 15 minutes, apart from give the ball away because he was injured?
Say, please don't pass me the ball.
When Ayling looked up and passed him it, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. I was more going crazy at Ayling, to be honest, at that point as well. Just like, get your head up, look who it is.
Yeah, that was the thing for me as well, Connor, because I said to you, I don't know whether they were obviously doing it inadvertently, but just look up and see who you're passing it to, because he clearly didn't want the ball. He's moving in all the areas where I don't want the ball. Then he moved out to the right. All of a sudden, we started going down the right. Yeah, like just look up and see where he is, because he doesn't want the ball.
Nigel Chandler says pens. Yeah, let's just. I don't normally go on it, but I feel like I want to touch on it this week. I feel like it really, really irked me this week. It really annoyed me because I remember that gut-wrenching feeling when Click tapped big, strong, hard man Rudiger's foot and he went falling around on the floor, rolling around, and all the Chelsea players got up in the referee's face asking for a penalty, got it straight off the bat. And then, I mean, you look at that Rodrigo decision, everybody might turn around and say, it's soft, Connor, it's soft. And I agree it's soft, but I thought Rudiger's was soft as well. And I'm just getting so sick and tired of the standards, the consistency. And this is why someone put on my video the other day, I mentioned it the other day, and someone said top four bias, what a load of rubbish. And I'm not directly saying it's top four bias, but I think there is definitely some favoritism there and a lot of pressure.
I'll say it.
But it goes back as well to what Cage has always said, and you know, even the daft little nuances of getting in the referee's ear and Luke Ayling not having as much of an influence as Ronaldo or Bruno Fernandes, and that shouldn't be how it is, but it is how it is, and that's football. But this feels like it's an objective thing. You know, it's subjective because of the people doing it, but you feel like they can get to a factual sort of decision with all the minds there, all the referee minds, and they're going to be able to look at it and come forth with a conclusive, good decision that's accurate. And it just seems like, you know, it went to VAR. It's the exact same thing. And I will use the Rudiger thing, as I've said several times, KG. And once again, we just don't get the look of the green. In my opinion, a lot. You know, it doesn't even get to VAR half the time, mate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I won't say too much of it. I'll let Brownie go on this, but for me, yeah, there is definite top six bias, but in this one, I've seen it in games where there isn't top six teams involved, and the referees don't give it. It's just the inconsistencies of referees, full stop. And yes, I mean, I think the way Rodrigo went down didn't help. I really don't think it helped with the way that he went down. So you can kind of see why they've probably said, I think he's made a meal of this. But it was exactly the same as Click on Rudiger. But listen, this is where we have to play the game. And I saw Jesse Marsch. He was talking to the fourth official. He kept on doing that. That's not something that Bielsa would have ever done. He doesn't like that kind of stuff. But this is where we are. That's what you have to do. It's all about these little things that you get in the referee's ear. It's about getting the advantages any way you can. And I do think if we were a bit more vocal, then maybe we would get something. But no, who was appealing?
No, I know, and I was saying it. I was screaming at the TV. I was like, "Someone just go up and get in the referee's ear." I don't know if it actually went to VAR. I'm not 100% sure. It looked like
it did go to VAR.
Well, there you go. So then it's not all about the players, is it, Cage? It's about actually going to Jared Gillett in the VAR room and him making a decision there. And
Yeah,
I just think,
but Connor, that's the whole thing. When they see a load of players going around the ref, it makes that human being in VAR go, well, what are they going so mad about? Let me keep looking. And then if they can't decide, they'll tell the referee to go at the screen. But if no one's going to go over to the ref and say, hey, ref, what's going on here? They're just going to carry on. That's the way it is.
Mm-hmm. I think Marsch was brilliant at that at the weekend, to be fair. He was very vocal on the touchline. He was bellowing orders. He was celebrating tackles. He was very animated. And I think we need more of that on the pitch, to be honest, like KG says. I hope that rubs off on some of the players, because in the last few years, it's been very reserved and can't do anything and you can't shout at the referee, whereas it was the complete opposite.
Well, he called the penalty out, didn't he? In his post-match, he called it out.
And,
he said
and I love that. I love that, and I think we need to do more of that. Definitely.
Yeah. But you know, what frustrates me there is we're talking about, you know, just a nick, something to go in off a player's arse, and just a little bit of luck, you know, just something, you know, there where you think, I mean, that's a penalty if we're being consistent right now. And that's why it irked me more at the weekend, because we were on top, we were playing well, we couldn't put the ball in the net, and we just needed a break. We just needed a little bit of luck, and that would have been it.
It's not the first time, though. That's what's annoying me. I mean, I think like back to the Newcastle game where we're 1-0 up after 20 minutes and Dan James gets absolutely poleaxed in the box.
That was ridiculous.
And then you're thinking, that's then a chance to go 2-0 up away at Newcastle when they're like hammering Steve Bruce. It'd have been toxic, that place. And it makes a difference. And ever since the top six wanted to break away, I think the Premier League are petrified of one of them not getting into Europe. That's how I personally feel going to games. The Tottenham game last week, Tottenham would have won. They were a far better team. But I went with someone to the game, and a neutral, and they said something to me. How come they get all the free kicks and Leeds don't get anything? And that was someone who was neutral either way. And it felt like that in the Leicester game. They put on the big screen the stats periodically. And it was half an hour into the game. Leeds had 1 foul and Leicester had 9. Yeah. And it just feels like it's starting to bug me a little bit. The Leeds fans,
what do you mean it's starting to bug you?
The Leeds fans celebrated a free kick like we'd scored.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely.
And it feels like that every game. It really does. And I think you're right. It just seems like the Premier League are petrified of one of these top six not getting into Europe. It just feels like, I feel like they get more VAR decisions looked at as well. If in doubt, go to VAR. Whereas, like KG says, they've probably got bigger personalities around the referee, making sure that it does go to VAR. You saw it in the Manchester derby at the weekend. Any decision, you've got players surrounding the referee. We don't seem to do that, and I hope that Marsch gets that out of the players, because he was definitely animated on the side, and I love that from him. I really did.
Yeah, I think we all love that, mate. I think it's a really good point. He was very animated, and he was I mentioned it on my video, talking to the fourth official, and I do love that. And it is a bit of a change, isn't it? But Mo said, let's be positive. Jesse has shown that he knows what he's doing. Yeah, I mean, he needs to get the result. We need a goal first of all. But I think indicative of it, lads, and our troubles at the minute. 19 shots away from home. Kasper Schmeichel gets man of the match. The chance creation was through the roof, as we've spoken about on our chat. Jack Harrison, 5 key passes. For me, I'm not a huge fan of Jack, because I just think he's so inconsistent. But I thought he was absolutely superb at the weekend, and one of the fewest shots against as well that we've faced this season. So it literally was. Marsch got it spot on after the game when he said it was almost the perfect away performance, but without the goal, KG.
Yeah, and that was it. I mean, just the fact that they had their first shot on target on 44 minutes. I mean, what an improvement that is, considering that we're usually 2 down by 14. So it was good to see, and that's why I'm saying there was so many things to take forward. But I mean, you just wonder what maybe would be in a better position if we had made this decision 5 games ago. You know what I mean? Just give him a bit more time, give him a bit more rope to play with, because now we're literally down to the last 11. So it's like, if only we could have done this before, maybe we wouldn't even be in this mess right now where we're having to look over our shoulders. But hey, listen, we are where we are now, so it don't matter. But yeah, no, it was good. No, it was good to see us just be more compact, and that's all you asked for. It was nice to see centre backs not playing for our midfield like, we didn't have anything there. It was good to see all of that. I know Rafinha keeps on getting hammered, but I thought he was a bit better in this game. If he scores, I don't think anyone's talking about his performance. But again, that was on Kasper Schmeichel being, in the right place at the right time. So, and like you say, Harrison as well. It's just about getting that striker in there. It really is, because no one else is gambling from midfield going forward. We talk about Click, we talk about Forshaw. These aren't players that are getting you Conor Gallagher type of goals. They're not ones that are giving you that midfield box to box quality. So we are literally having to rely on our wide players and whoever's playing a false nine. So we just need to get somebody back, and hopefully he makes that adjustment against Villa.
Well, I was Brownie. I was even thinking about this the other night, and I was just thinking about how pivotal Bamford is. The best thing about Patrick Bamford is he's always off the shoulder. He's always off the shoulder. He's always in the 6-yard box. He never really comes out of the box. And this is one thing I will say about Joe Gelhardt. His talent is unbelievable. But you even saw it at the weekend. He has a real impetus to go and get the ball, go and retrieve the ball. A lot like Wayne Rooney used to, a lot like Harry Kane does as well. Go and receive the ball, drop deep to get it, and then create. And I absolutely love that about him. But he hasn't got that, for me, that Patrick Bamfordness, if you will, where it is just do or die. I'm in the 6-yard box. I'm going to get my arse on it no matter what. Joe Gelhardt will come out and try get the ball and then build attacks, and that's great. And that and Bamford would be unbelievable, but we are just missing that man there, aren't we, Brownie? That man who's always going to be in there, because, as I've just said, even when Joffrey came on, he had a really good chance, but he dropped deep to get the ball. He was dropping deep constantly to get it. Whereas Bamford is just always on that 6-yard, on that penalty spot, isn't he?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, because when you think of Joffrey, you think of him getting the ball and running at players. Yeah. And he does. He gets the ball and drives. And if you have a Bamford in the middle at the same time, which I think Bamford will thrive off how he set up at the weekend, because it was 4 bodies in attack, and if I just think with Bamford with more bodies in around him, because they were quite now, it was like a bit of a box as a 4, so when we were picking the balls up, and I thought we were much more direct at the weekend. We had less of the ball, but more to show for it, if that makes sense. We were definitely not as passive with the passing. We were definitely more in their half when we got it, and we were driving at them straight away. But yeah, with that Bamford in and around, and I just think you'd have Rafinha, Harrison, James, or Gelda, or Rodrigo all around him. I don't think Bamford will be as isolated in this formation. I think that will help Bamford a lot. But yeah, the sooner he's back, the better, because the games are running out.
KG, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
No, I agree with Bradley. The quicker he's back, the better, just to give us another option up front. I actually think Jesse would prefer to play with 2 up front as well. Yeah. And if you say if he wants to go with Rodrigo and Bamford, I wouldn't argue with that at this point in time. But I want to see Dan James back out on the wing. I know Harrison had a good game, but let's see if he has another one, because that's been the issue with Harrison. He has a good game and then he's gone missing for the next 3 or 4, or sometimes more. So let's just see what he can do. I mean, and Bamford as well. One thing he's going to have in his favour is he's not going to have to do as much running as he did before. So he might be able to stick around on the defender's shoulder a lot more this time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to him coming back. But we'll see. Will Villa be too soon? I know people are saying that it may be too soon, but God, if we could just get 30 minutes out of him, if the game's at a tight 0-0 or 1-1 situation, that would be a welcome sight.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's. I think this is a really good point. Mind the Sky visuals is just put on here. Bamford's strength, stature, and movement crucial. I think a lot of people are saying we're putting too much pressure on him, this, that, and the other, to come back from injury. And whilst I think that is true, because you can't rush people back, let's be right, fellas. When Bielsa was here, Bielsa was essentially turning around and saying, "Look, we've got no return date." And Marsch is back in now, and suddenly he's featuring on the bench against Aston Villa. So I think it is key not to rush him back. But what I will say is, I don't even think it's about Patrick Bamford doing anything miraculous. It's just being where we need him to be. Like, there's so many balls in from Harrison where it just needs off his knee, off his arse, off his head. It is not. That's exactly what it is, isn't it, Brownie? It's just simplifying that part of the game, really.
Well, he'll take up another centre half, maybe even 2 centre halves with his hold up play, which then does weirdly allow Dan James to get in behind more, because these centre halves can't do both. Do they go with Bamford? Do they sit? So I just think, like you say, as a proper number 9, him in there is pivotal. And if he is back for Villa game, I doubt he will be if he can't come on against Leicester. Like you say, he could probably get 15, 20 minutes, which if the game's tight, Ellen Road packed, under the lights, Bamford coming on, and it's only going to help us. But yeah, I think someone made a comment about, like, it might have been you, Connor, about he won't have to do as much running. I think you're right. He can channel that running into more he needs to do. And if we've got 4 up there going 4-2-4, that press doesn't solely come from Bamford. He can spread the workload across the 4 of them.
Yeah. KG, I've got a question to ask you, mate, and I'm going to throw this at Brownie as well, and I'm going to give my answer. If you're a manager, are you a tracksuit manager? Are you a suit manager? Or are you a spray-on jean manager?
Does it matter?
Yeah, what would you wear, man? What would you wear? I just want to know.
Probably a tracksuit manager.
Tracksuit. Brownie, what about you?
Yeah, well, like I say, I was assistant last year, and I was tracksuit, but he did look good, by the way. He looked pretty. he looked pretty swag, didn't he? That coat. I'm sure it'd be an expensive coat, but I want that coat because it looked very decent.
Yeah, it was very sort of pep coolness, wasn't it? I thought.
Yeah, he came out. I thought, this guy looks cool. This guy is trendy. But yeah, I don't think I could pull that look off, so I'll just go tracksuit.
No, I don't think any of us could. So yeah, I just thought I'd shout out what he was wearing. I thought he looks as cool as it comes, really.
Mind the Sky visuals. Who is your team? Please let me know. Carry on, Connor.
And for Gale, yeah, I'd still have the bucket in the dugout, to be honest. But hey ho.
I love it when you just start answering questions yourself. That's brilliant. It's an easier way of doing it, to be honest. One Leeds merch, yeah, that's it, Jack. Get it in the section below, mate. Rafinha goodie bag. There you go. We need him to start performing, to be honest. Then might be able to sell a few more bits. Okay, lads, I want to discuss this side of it as well, to be quite honest with you. And this is where I think Leeds have been let down throughout the season, to be honest. But it was amplified again. We've spoken about Bamford. We've spoken about Gelhardt. The transitions out of defence and the bad decisions. I'm watching it again today. And even when we've had chances, the balls are overhit. You know, it's an extra touch here and there, and we can attribute it down to confidence. But a lot of it seems a lack of focus, a lack of concentration when we are in unbelievable positions, because we get ourselves in some ridiculously good positions. KG, what's it all about, mate? It seems to be amplified. And it's not just a Bamford problem. It seems to just be these individuals in these big moments.
Sorry, in what way? In what way, sorry?
Did I cut out?
No. Sorry, I was reading the chat. I'll be honest with you. I was reading the chat.
Man.
My bad. I'm so sorry.
While KD catches up, I'll jump in. I'm doing, like I was saying in the chat, I'm doing a degree, and part of it's performance analysis, and I had to pick a Premier League game. It was West Ham Leeds, and the most unsuccessful passes are coming from our defenders with no pressure on the ball. I couldn't believe what I was. I picked out the West Ham Leeds game away at West Ham, and the most passes that we're giving away are coming from defenders and Melier just trying to kick it. And I don't really associate Leeds with long balls, but when we give it away, we're not under any pressure. Like at the weekend, Vardy, who I thought was very quiet, and maybe that was down to how we'd set up. We weren't chasing him around. Our defenders aren't really under that much pressure at the weekend, but it was mainly defenders giving it away.
Yeah. I just think sometimes it's that when you're in these incredible positions. I think Rodrigo took up a couple of good positions, and maybe it was over hit, or it was under hit, or it was scuffed, and it just seems these 5-6 yard passes are going astray. KG, did you feel the same frustration throughout the game, mate?
Yeah, but I felt it all season long, in all fairness. I think, like someone like Pascal's a much better passer than he's shown the last, I would say month. Let's say month. But for whatever reason, whether it's because his confidence is low or what have you, and I thought Pascal actually did all right against Vardy. I think that's the reason why Vardy was so quiet. Although he did get away once or twice, I thought Pascal held him pretty well. But then we're not seeing that passing range from Pascal lately, and that's why I think you can put a Charlie Cresswell next to Pascal, just as Pascal let him be the ball playing centre back, and Charlie Cresswell be that all Brexit centre back that won't let anything get past him. So I think it could work. I think the thing that everyone just has to remember is that a lot of these players are low on confidence, and that's why we're seeing like simple 5-yard passes not get to their destination. And it's even more obvious as well when you're looking at other teams, when you're watching other teams that are above us and everything else like that, and you just wonder if these players are looking at those players that play in teams above us and go, "Wow, it must be nice to be that good." Because I look at some of the teams and go, "Man, we are far away from being a Southampton." And yes, Southampton lost in the game against Villa, but previously they've been in really good form. Even Llorente's passing has been off it. He would have low percentage pass completion, but when he does get them through, they would usually get through nicely. But that hasn't even been happening lately. So I think it's an issue across the board.
In our chat, I've been quite vocal of Pascal over the last month. But you forget he's only 22. We hear the age thing for Roberts, and I forget that Pascal Strike's only 22. So confidence in that Tottenham game was at an all-time low. You could see players couldn't even pass 5-10 yards. That wasn't just one or two of them. That was all of them. All of them. The passing was astray from all of them. You couldn't just pinpoint it on one. But yeah, Pascal's distribution the last month or so has been shoddy. Is that the right word? But when you think we've conceded about 30 goals and he's a defender, your confidence is going to be shot to pieces. To be fair, you're going to be scared to death to pass it anyway. You're just going to think, "Oh my god, I hope it gets to a white shirt." So hopefully, new manager, he's clearly putting an arm around people. That's another conversation, and the huddle thing. He's clearly putting arms around people. So will that boost confidence? Hopefully, and then he said he don't want players to play with fear, which is good. Don't want fear in players. So hopefully that confidence comes back in.
And just on that as well, when you think about it, just think of the makeup of the team as well. We're talking about going long and it being lost. But when you're giving it to whichever midfield you want to name, whether it's Forshaw, Click, Robin Koch in there, they're not doing anything spectacular with the ball. They're not doing anything. They're not driving forward. They're not making key passes through to the forward line. They're literally just running around like headless chickens. There's no quality there. So the options are very, very limited. It has to go out wide. So either Rafinha, Dan James, if he drifts out there, Jack Harrison, and then you go from there. There's just such a lack of quality in the team. So it's no wonder some of the passes are just not going where they need to go.
Well, I was walking to the ground. I nearly said Filbert Street then. I was walking to the King Power.
You're not that old, mate. You're not that old.
Working to the King Power on Saturday when we got the team, it was like, Forshaw's not playing. And then when you actually sit and think about it, our midfielders, we've got no Bamford, so there's no goals there. You can throw this at any one of our midfielders, Forshaw, Koch, Click. They don't score and they don't assist.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not just one of them, that's all of them. There's no goals or assists coming from any of them. So you think, well, you can't leave him out. But then you think, well, a midfielder at some point has to do something other than just pass the ball.
Brownie, I feel this season has been purely, and you two might disagree with me, but obviously Rafinha's been a huge hand in this. It's just been moments. It's been moments. Yeah. I don't think there's been any sort of like consistent assists from any of our midfield. There's been no consistency of goals really outside of Rafinha. So it's been these free kicks, these wonderful goals that he's been scoring. And that's why I'm struggling at the minute to dog him out a little bit. But I'm being contradictory to myself, really, because I always say that I judge it game by game. But I'm struggling with Rafinha because without this kid, we would be rock bottom of the Premier League. So that's why I'm struggling with him at the minute. And he has got so much credit in the bank for me, but it's difficult because he's nowhere near at the minute. I know he was all right at the weekend, but he is nowhere near Rafinha levels at the minute. That West Ham game, he was 10 out of 10, and even an 8 out of 10 Rafinha we've not seen for a long time.
And I think, like I say, I think that's across the pitch, everywhere. There's just a lack of goal contributions.
Yeah.
I mean, Rafinha will be top scorer. People in the comments will probably know better and might be on the computer. Who's our second top scorer? I can't think of anybody. I mean, Harrison scored a hat trick.
I think it's either Harrison or Rodrigo, I think.
On what? 3, 4 goals?
Is it Dan James? Is Dan James close?
Dan James on 4, isn't he? I think
4.
Rodrigo.
Okay, right.
Yeah, no, you might be right because I think Rodrigo's on 3, Harrison on 3. Is he? I don't know. Harrison might be on 1 more. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that's the point. And just quickly, that's the point as well. When the club, we are where we are, and it's really bad. But when they're putting out heat maps of Adam Forshaw running around, it's like, who cares? Like, why should you care about somebody just running around without any ample quality on the ball? Like, you should be past that now. It was all fun and games when everything was working, but to see someone with a heat map all over, and then you think to yourself, yeah, but what did he actually do in that game? And there was nothing.
I agree, and I was all for Forshaw. His brother, who actually we were talking to, he actually asked me, well, what's he in the team for? And I was like, well, he's in there to protect and sit in front of the back 4. And he went, protect? We've conceded 30 goals in the last 5 or 6 games. What's he protecting?
And
then he said,
he was actually really poor when he came on as well. If you know,
and then he said, does he score as a midfielder? And you think, well, no, he's never scored for Leeds. Does he assist? No. Then it's hard to argue why he's then not in the team, because if he's in there to protect the back 4, I mean.
Mate, we'll get on to this comment, but we never replaced Saiz and we've never replaced Pablo, and that was Anyway, I won't go on because that's a different show if we talk about replacements.
We never replaced Ian Hart, but you know how far back shall we go? You know?
How far back Who's the next in line after Ian Hart? Was it Stephen Craney? I think it was, wasn't it?
Oh my!
What a replacement!
But
Brownie, we're gonna have to read this out, mate. It's been on here for about 10 minutes. So thank you so much for your donation, Laffer. And Brownie is about a left back, so there we go. It's nice little movement there. Opinion on Firpo this season: need another fullback. And personally, I completely agree. We need another fullback to challenge him. We need another left back there to run him close and competition 100%, because there'll have been times where Firpo probably wouldn't have made the starting 11 when he has made the starting 11 because we've got no other. So there definitely does need to be another left back. But I mean, KG, thoughts on Firpo this season when he's played?
Yeah, hello Gail in the chat. Firpo, listen, I've said it all season long. You need to have 2 for each position, and that's what it is. We don't have another left back to challenge him, so he's literally it. So when he goes out, you always notice you say, well, he's a left back, we've got to play him. But that should never be the case. But again, we're talking about old issues, season-long issues that are hurting us right now. There should be another left back there, as there should be another right back in the team, as there should be another defensive midfielder and another striker. But we can go on. Firpo does need competition. I don't know where we're going to go with Firpo in the summer, I'll be honest. I think if we're being serious about moving up the table, we might have to look at that position and maybe go again.
Agreed. Yeah.
For me, I think we had this on one of our first debrief shows. I said there was no improvement on Alioski. I think I got slaughtered.
Put up the super chat. It links in. It links into what he's saying. Go on. Come on. You got the
what I will
chat.
say is,
I think
the recruitment this season as a whole, I think the recruitment has been horrendous. Firpo was Alioski's replacement. I think we've gone backwards from Alioski. People wanted rid of Alioski. I understand it to a degree. He offered us a lot going forward, and we've conceded more goals without him. So people said he couldn't defend. Well, we've conceded 61 this season, and we've still got 11 games left.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the Alioski to Firpo hasn't worked out at all, that transition, because I would agree in terms of ability, I don't think he's that much of a markup on Alioski. However, I will say Alioski needed to go, but he didn't need to be replaced by a Firpo. I think that's
what I mean. And I just think across the board of the players that went, nothing's improved. Nothing has improved this season from the players that we've seen leave the club. And that's and then it's no surprise how our position in the table has gone from 9th to what we now 15th, 16th. We haven't improved. We've sort of stagnated, if not gone backwards. We've not improved on our 9th position. And I think the recruitment was horrendous this year. I really do.
Yeah. It's been bad, real bad.
Yeah.
Like really bad.
I mean, just on that. I mean, everything is a gamble, isn't it? Whether you stick or twist. But they obviously thought that they could get a little bit more out of Firpo. It clearly hasn't worked when we look at it overall. But for me, I've always said it before. I think I've said it on the show before as well. If you lose a striker that's only scored 2 goals, and then the next season you sign one that's only scored 1, you don't then pine back for the one that only scored 2. You go, okay, well, we need to go again and look better. Because all the players we've lost as well, when you've got to look at it. Alioski went to wherever he's gone. I can't remember, Qatar, Saudi Arabia. And then Berardi, he's in some Swiss league. These aren't players that have gone on to anything great. They've actually gone down. So they were ready to move on down the level. But it's up to us to then replace those with better, which we have not done. It's not even about replacing. We just didn't get the bodies in.
Has any signing this year that we've made been better than what we had last year, though? I mean, what have we lost? We've lost Alioski, Hernandez, Berardi. I'll throw Costa into that.
Oh, my God.
No, we lost him. I'm just saying they're the players that have gone.
I would say Dan James has been a positive, but whether that's because of the season we're having, I don't know.
Dan James has been better than Costa. Harrison was for Harrison. Firpo was for Alioski. Berardi.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. And then you wonder why we're in a predicament of where we are. We just didn't do anything.
Oh, I don't wonder. I said this.
Yeah. I think there was. I will say, Brownie. I think there was a lot of people think that this squad, when we finished 9th, everybody turned around. I mean, I got battered, mate, when I said 13th. Everybody had this sense of, I literally saw people saying we're going to finish 6th and 7th with that squad. So I think a lot of it, and this is with respect, was a little bit of maybe naivety but to how good the Premier League actually is. The second season syndrome, everybody hates it, but it is a thing. It is a thing. It 100% is a thing. And we've seen that this season. But I think in the summer, it was negligence. And it got to the end of the window and everybody was turning around saying, we had to do a centre midfielder. We had to do a centre midfielder. We didn't do it. And going into this season, when it's all about staying up, without that one player that you were hunting for, I mean, even the board must have known it was a massive risk.
And it wasn't just that as well. It was, well, if Bielsa doesn't need any more players, then who are we to question Bielsa? And then it was also, well, we still got players coming back from injury that we still haven't seen. We need who's going to play over those. Mm-hmm. So we heard all of this. This is nothing that we hadn't heard. Trust me, when you're doing videos, you get all these comments all the time. When you're suggesting that we need to upgrade players, people will say we've got our injured players coming back. Trust Bielsa, if he needs a small squad, just keep it that way. But that's why we are where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, bang on. The recruitment's been absolute, and I think that the word is right. Connor, negligent. They can't even say it.
Negligent.
That's the one. Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. That one.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we just? I want to throw it back to this, just the in-game stuff as well. We're gonna have to get onto our chat about Villa in a little bit as well. I know a lot of you guys are going to be running off to the Spurs game, which I completely understand. What were your thoughts on the huddle at the end, Brownie? I know you mentioned it. Everybody, get your comments in the section below. KG, come to you, mate. What were your thoughts on it? Were you happy about? Did you think it was a good move or a bad move? What?
I didn't think anything of it. I'll be honest. Maybe it's because I see in a lot of sports that I'm just not that bothered by it. But yeah, I didn't think anything of it. Usually in football, when you see it's under a win, I think maybe that's probably something that took people back. But yeah, I didn't think anything of it at all. I think people are getting a little bit. If that's the least of our worries, a huddle after the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right. He's right. It is the least of our worries.
It's just mad, though, isn't it? The traction that this has gotten. It's like we do have a lot. We do have many more issues here.
I'm not a fan of the huddles before a game. I'm not sure. Do you know when you see teams before a game getting in a huddle? I'm not really sure what you can say in a huddle before a game that hasn't already been said in the dressing room. And listen, he'd have probably done it if we'd have won. He did it if we lost. I don't think either win, lose or draw. I think he'd have still done it. For me, do it in the changing room. But Cage is right. There's bigger problems. I'm not sure a lot of the players were having it. Dallas walked straight past it. Melier had to come back.
Made me laugh with Roberts when he dragged him back on to get in a huddle.
Yeah, Dallas walked straight past it, and Melier had to run because Dallas came straight over to the corner. Melier had to run and drag him back and take him over. And it does make you look like you're a team, and I think it's just a different culture thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just American as well. We see it in Holland, we see it in Belgium, we see it in Germany. It's not just everyone keeps saying it's Americanized, and might have came from there originally, but loads of teams around Europe do it. So,
but like I said, he was very touchy feely through the game. I mean, Bamford, when the third sub had been, you probably won't have seen on the TV, but Bamford then obviously had to finish his warm up and walk back to the bench. He gave him a massive cuddle, patted him on the back. So he
I didn't see that.
So yeah, he is one for the players and morale and boosting players up. And I mean, listen, Jurgen Klopp made the whole Liverpool team stand in front of the Kop when they drew 2-2 to West Brom. So I've seen stranger things. So yeah, it's one of them. Wasn't for me, but it's no big deal.
No.
Yeah, I mean, even Phil Brown at Hull City. Remember that? Remember Phil Brown sitting everyone down? Yeah, so he's not the first.
See, now I know that the players didn't like that. I mean, Dean Wendas was in that, and I played with him at Scarborough, and that was the start of the end for him. That him sitting him down on the Etihad.
Yeah.
That was the start of the end. So I think it's doing it the right way. Listen, he wasn't embarrassing the players with getting them together, and there's been weirder things, like KG says. Like that.
Yeah.
Should we move on to Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa? We've got Villa coming up on Thursday, and it feels, me and KG were just talking about it there, Brown. It feels like a huge week. For me, this is the biggest week we've had, obviously. And we need to pick up a win. It has to be a win this week from somewhere. And I think both games, are we all in agreement that both games are must not loses?
Yeah, we can't lose. We can't lose either of them. We have to win one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, personally, I'd like to win both, but
yeah,
I don't see it. But
no. Aston Villa then they've beaten, I believe it was Brighton 2-0. I think it was. They seem to have Brighton's number. Stuffed Southampton at the weekend. That Southampton who have the same sort of structure as Leeds do, the 4-2-2-2, transition into a 4-4-2. Obviously, Ralph Hasen, who will formerly of RB Leipzig and has worked with Ralph Rangnick, so it is a very RB setup. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know if Gerrard's going to set up the same way. It's probably a little bit more predictable than the Bielsa system. I know Villa struggled with that in parts, but also got a lot of success from it. KG,
yeah,
Aston Villa, mate, to start the week off. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, listen, I mean, and you mentioned Southampton, Ralph Hasenhüttl, but he's actually got two strikers in Broja and Adams, so he's actually got out-and-out forwards playing up front, so he's got a bit of an advantage over his old coaching mate. But yeah, Aston Villa, God, I mean, if Coutinho, I don't know if anyone saw Coutinho's performance against Southampton, but if he does any of that against us, it might be a long night. I'm just letting you know now, because he was every bit of that Coutinho that you remember at Liverpool. He was absolutely magnificent, and we even saw that ourselves actually in the first half against us. Like he was dictating everything. So it's about us now, because, and I say it on every one of my videos, I know people must be sick, but we have to play 100% to our maximum ability to get anything out of these games. So if we can do everything that Jesse wants them to do, in terms of staying compact, staying in the game, and then getting that chance to put it away. Please just put it away. Then we've got a chance of getting something. But it's going to be tough. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a tough one against Aston Villa.
Yeah, I echo what KJ said. I didn't realise how good Coutinho was until I saw him.
What?
No, honestly, I knew he was a good player. Obviously, at Liverpool, he was unbelievable. He's had the previous 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Been a bit of a nightmare for him. But that half an hour at Villa Park was up there with the best performance I've seen in the live for a long time. He was that good. If it hadn't been for Coutinho, we would have won at Villa Park. He just turned the game on its head. He was nutmegging people for fun. He reminded me of like a 25-year-old Pablo Hernandez. He was just running the show, but he was doing it in the Premier League. This is where Marsch's tactics might come into it, and we'll see a change of something or different formation for a different team, which is what we've all said we want. So we might see the first sign of that, which can only be a positive. But yeah, I'm in two minds. Coutinho, if he turns up like he did at the weekend, like KG says, it could be a long night. But I think that front four press against a Tyrone Mings, I think that could trouble him, because at Villa Park, he was like a rabbit in headlights when he had ball. And I just think if he's got four people breathing down his neck, it could be trouble for him. So I can see goals in it. I just hope there's more for us than there is for them.
Yeah. And there's also as well, I mean, when you look at the way we play, I mean, obviously it's different now, but, you know, Ollie Watkins is trying to find form. He's trying to get in there. Danny Ings is trying to prove that he should stay at Villa as well. And he does. I think he's playing with both of them now. I think he said, didn't he, that I don't want to choose between the two of you. I want both of you on the pitch. And I don't think Jacob Ramsey is going to get the same amount of space he did in our previous game. That will be good to start, because otherwise he will kill us too. There's just, it's all dependent on how we set up and if we can contain them and then hit them on the break and take our chances. But how many times have we done that this season? Which is why, and this is the thing with me as well. If we don't do it against Villa, and then please, no, not against Norwich, then there's no new manager bounce. Like, it's gone. You got 3 games there that have gone. What do we do after that? But let's get these two out of the way first, I guess.
And that's what I was saying to you boys on the way back from Leicester at the weekend. Like, if this week doesn't go how we want it, then what?
I know. Yeah. It is. Me and KG were just saying, Brownie, when you were sorting your mic out, that it does feel, and that's why I keep mentioning it. It feels like now or never.
I think the next five is a nice run for us. I really do. I think the next 5 games, they're all winnable. All 5 of them, Wolves are on a slide. All 5 of them are winnable games. If you think win 3 of them, that's enough, I think.
Just seems a lot, doesn't it, at the minute? 3 wins.
It feels like such a hard task.
One win at the minute. It doesn't look like we don't know where one win's going to come from. But them 5, if we get to the end of this run of 5 games without a couple of wins, that we'll be in the bottom 3.
Yeah, 100%. Luke W says, I promise you Coutinho will not play 80 or more minutes Thursday. And that is true. I think he's played a lot of minutes recently, Coutinho. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on him. But they've got threats. Hey?
Just give him a rest. Let him have the night off and see him at the weekend.
Yeah, give him a rest. But yeah, listen, it's going to be a tough game. I think we all know that. So yeah, and then God, we've got Norwich as well, fellas, haven't we, for the predictions? Goodness me, we've got 2 huge.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, if we can't beat Norwich, then I mean, what are we doing in this division? Really, I think
they're one of the worst teams to have ever graced the Premier League.
Oh no, Brownie.
No, if they come to Ellen Road, like Connor says, if they come to Ellen Road and we do not beat them, then we deserve to pack our bags and go.
I mean, if you're not beating Norwich, I know this sounds like quite disrespectful, but we said it last time when we went down there and beat them 2-1. We said if we can't beat Norwich, who can we beat in this division? We're all talking about 3 games being a difficult run. Who are you beating if you can't beat Norwich? Yeah. So it's we've got to pick him up. So it's a lot of pressure on this week. Right, fellas, updated the table. I am lacking behind there. Brownie on 7, KG on 7, joint top, and Connor languishing in 5. Third, 5, joint bottom. I'm not even joint bottom anymore. Annoying. So okay, that's the table. Everybody get your predictions in. We're going to be going twice this week again because of the nature of the fixtures. Who wants to go first, chaps? We've got Villa first.
I'll go.
Go on then.
I think we'll get beat on Thursday.
Okay.
But I think we'll beat Norwich.
I'm going 2. This is a rarity. I don't think I've ever heard you say we'll get beat. So
wow.
Only times I've said we'll get beat this year are Liverpool and Man City.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
If Bielsa was in charge, would you be predicting a win?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
And that's as honest as I can. That's as honest as I can answer.
At least he's honest, guys.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. So Brown, what score are you going, mate?
2-1 Villa, but I wouldn't be surprised if we drew. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. I think it'd be very tight. Could be 2-1 either way, but just the way we are at the minute, we just don't seem to be getting any luck at all. So yeah, 2-1 Villa.
Okay. 2-0. 2-0. Oh, Brownie, people are turning against you now. Whatever, Brownie. There you go.
I mean, people can laugh. So here's a question for other people, right? And I asked you this earlier, Connor. Right? We haven't been in the bottom three this year. We haven't been in it. Once Burnley has played the same amount of games, if we're still not in the bottom three, right? When everybody's played the same amount of games and we're still not in the bottom three, if we then go down, who is it on?
Get it in the comment section below.
Is it on Bielsa? Is it on Marsch? Is it on the board for the timing of it all? Because
I'm sure there's going to be some spicy responses to that, mate.
I'm just asking the question. I'm just asking the question because we were 15th. I'm not saying Marsch out. I'm fully behind him.
Imagine.
Imagine that.
Imagine.
But I'm just saying, if it might be minus 61, we're not in the bottom three. If we go down, who's it on? And I will say this is purely on when Burnley have played their game in hand. If the Burnley win their game in hand, obviously they go above us. So then that is Bielsa's games. But if Burnley don't win their game in hand and we're above them, played the same games, but then go down, who is it on?
Yeah, I'll give my opinion. I think Connor wants to say something on this one, but for me, the damage has been done from I don't even know from the start of the season. I think it's been done from the start. So whether you want to put that between Bielsa, the board for not being stronger against their own manager, I think it's a mix of both of them. And I think that the board now, with their decision to do it after the transfer window's closed, without any new additions, even with that in mind, they could have had some new additions and then sacked him. Man, there's just been negligence all over the place.
Yeah,
that's why for me now, when people are calling out certain individuals and that, it's just there's so many people that are at fault here that for me, when we talk about Firpo, even Ailing, who I've been hammering, Click, who I've been hammering, it's just like they're all part of it. They're all part of this problem. All of them. And that comes from the board, not replacing them and giving these players confidence to say they're not going anywhere in January. We got Mateus saying he's not going anywhere.
Just in reply to Lewis's comment then about blocking signings. So they've backed Bielsa, saying, okay, you don't need to have any signings. You don't need to have any signings. We believe in you. We trust you. And then 3 weeks later, sack him. It just screams to me they didn't want to spend any money.
Yep, fair enough.
And they didn't want to spend any money.
Brownie, you've got Marsch out trended in the chat now.
No, not Marsch out. Honestly, the first hour of the weekend was very good. I was very impressed.
But the last 30 minutes, Marsch out.
The last 30 minutes, we got beat. But the thing is, he's come in to get results. Like we had this conversation on the way to Leicester. Would you rather get beat 1-0 or 7-0? You're getting beat.
Oh, no, Brownie, come on, man. No.
Right, let's get the score, guys. Let's get the scores. I know people wanted to watch the game. So, KG, thoughts on the score, mate? So, Brownie's got 2-1 Villa.
Right. Oh, man. Ooh, all right. How are we going to score a goal? Who's
That's my issue. That's my issue.
Who's scoring? Please, someone tell me in the chat. All right, I'm going to go with a Villa. Oh, man, but then that means it's too low. Oh, God damn. Let me think with my head. Aston Villa. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa.
Okay. So both gone the same, 2-1. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 Villa. I think it's going to be just a little bit too much for us this one. I think they've got too much firepower. I just don't see how we I don't see how we mitigate the risks.
I'm laughing at that comment for KG, who's going to score, and someone's put John Kevin Augustine.
Chat's come in and said, click Rabona.
Oh, God. Imagine how soft his Rabona must be. Bloody hell. Pause. Yeah.
Oh, dearie me. Okay, so next game. 2-1 Leeds, says Tom Talks Leeds. We're hoping it, mate. Yeah,
please.
Yeah, we are 100%. Okay.
None of this next game, Connor. We want your score.
You want me to go first? Yeah, I've said 3-1 Villa.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Must be that internet connection, mate. Come on, Connor. You were meant to save the day. I've never saved the day on score predictions, Gail. It's one way. Listen, Gail, I either predict us to lose, and when I predict us to win, we lose anyway. So I can never get it right. Hence why I'm bottom of the table.
Does Villa's recent scoreline come into play for us? Because they absolutely hammered Southampton.
Yeah, we always have a really. I was speaking to Max earlier, Villa on tour, and he was saying it doesn't matter what form Villa are in, doesn't matter what form Leeds are in, and we're always think about it. Every time we play Villa, they've got a superior team. Then, as I remember, when we beat them 3-2 down at Villa Park, and we had Leif Davis making his debut. They had Conor Hourihane, Tammy Abraham, Jack Grealish. They were literally star-studded for the Championship. We went there and we beat them. Like when we went to Villa Park, the odds were stacked against us. It was Phil Coutinho's first home game. We're all like, oh God, here we go, 3-3. So we do have a decent record against Villa, no matter what. So that is the only thing I'm really holding on to at the minute.
You know what? Can I change my score prediction? I want to change.
Have I just given you a rousing speech there?
Wow.
No.
Get Connor in the changing room.
No.
Get Connor in the changing room.
1-1. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go with a draw.
I've done it. I've done my job. There you go.
No. I'm going 1-1, man.
There we go. Jesse McGilligan, get it in the chat.
Oh, please. Don't inflate this man's ego anymore, please.
We're going to start doing a huddle on this chat before we start every game. Okay, so we've got 1-1, 2-1, and all right. So Norwich, Brownie.
Yeah, we beat Norwich comfortably. Again, I don't know who's going to score the goals, but we will beat them comfortably. 3-1.
I love that. I don't know where any of the goals are going to come from. 3-1. Click Rabona. Right, okay. So we'll go Brownie 3-1. KG.
I'm going to go 2-0 versus Norwich.
2-0. 2-0. Oh, God. And it comes down to this. Well, let's hope we don't have my week. I will go with a 1-0 Leeds win. I think that's is that your side, Brian? I sound like a Dalek then.
You turn into Sean Dyche.
Right. Okay.
Something.
What we'll do is we'll leave it there, fellas. Everybody, thank you so much for joining for the debrief. If you just joined, make sure you watch it on the replay. Go check out Cage's channel. Link will be in the description below. Brownie's Twitter is always a hoot. Go check it out. And we will see you in a bit. Cheers.